Hello there, GCSEers. Right, next question is this. 6.4. What are the problems with miracles? As I've said to you before, we've looked at whether there's evidence for miracles. So today we're going to look at whether there actually isn't evidence for miracles, and in fact, whether miracles themselves provide a problem for theists, whether they actually cause problems for what theists believes. Okay, now the key thing is, if other people can perform miracles, we've looked at this question, is it only God who can perform miracles, or can other people perform miracles? Then if people can perform miracles, well, what happens if they perform miracles that do the wrong thing, that actually promote the wrong kind of thing that God doesn't want? Now, some people accuse this of the faith healers in America, people like Benny Hinn. They actually say they're making too much money. Right? They're making too much money which should go to the poor, or they're giving people hope where actually there is no hope, where people can't get cured of certain things. And some people might say that's actually wrong, that they shouldn't do that. And also you could argue for here we see Homer Simpson, and he gets tempted by the devil, who is played by Ned Flanders in this particular situation. Now, some people would actually claim that if there is such a thing as a devil, that the devil can perform miracles. Some people even have been said to sell their souls to the devil, and therefore the devil can do things that are against the laws of nature. Now, does that go against the miraculous? Does that go against miracles? And therefore, are miracles actually things that if only God can perform them, then they seem to be okay, because God would want them to be good. But if they aren't, if there are things that human beings can perform, then if they do something bad, is that something against the problem that we have with miracles? That's the first one. Second one is this. The miracle workers themselves, do they get too much importance? Here we can see again Benny Hinn in America. His man's a multi-millionaire. He lives in a massive great mansion, and therefore the actual problem is does the actual person themselves have too much of an importance set upon themselves for money, for wealth, for fame, for things like that actually wouldn't be something that God would want. Now, last week we looked at this one, the idea that God is transcendent. Now, if God is transcendent, then he's outside of humanity. He's outside of space and time, and God can't interfere with human things. Now, many religious believers and people themselves believe that there was a God, that God did create the universe, but now God is outside of humanity. And they say this because there's so many bad things that happen in the world that that God cannot be getting involved, because only God could actually stop those things. Now, if God doesn't get involved, then who are these people, or who is performing these miracles, or are these miracles actually real? Are they real in themselves? Now, the other one is the final one, is do miracles make God seem unfair? Now, we look at that one. That one's quite an important one. Millions and millions of people every year go to Lourdes, let's say, for example, to be cured. Here we can see pictures of many very sick people, very, very sick people, who go to Lourdes every year to be cured. But there's actually only a few who are. Around 2,000 in the last 150 years could claim to have a miraculous cure. So, if there is a God and God is curing people at Lourdes, then surely God is unfair. He doesn't cure everybody who goes. What makes Sally McCloy so special? What makes her experience of Lourdes so different from everybody else's? Why is it that she actually is able to be cured, and thousands and millions of people who go there, go to Lourdes and other places, don't? The final one is this. If God is a God of only one religion, then why do miracles happen in so many religions? Now, we've only really looked at two religions. We've looked at Hinduism and the milk miracle, and we've looked at Christianity and things like Jesus' resurrection and the miracle of Lourdes. Now, there's other ones. There's the miracles that happen in Islam. Here we can see some pictures of where people believe that God writes himself into creation, things like this and this tree, and other things where God seemingly gives miracles out by putting his name into creation. But there's other Islamic miracles, things like the QUR'AN itself, the holy book, the scripture of Islam, is seen as a miracle. And certainly the story of how it was given to Muhammad, who was a man who couldn't read or write, and was given the words of God and actually able to write them down. For Muslims, that's seen as a miracle. But if there was only one God, and God only is the God of one religion, then how come there's lots of miracles in lots of different religions? So this is a problem for theists. A real problem is that, if there's only one God, why does he give loads of different messages out by giving miracles to lots of different religions? Or Do miracles make God seem unfair? Why doesn't God cure everybody? Why does he only cure a few? If God is outside of space and time, if he's transcendent, then surely he cannot interfere with everything. Does miracle workers themselves make people too important? People like Benny Hinn, or you could even argue St. Bernadette, who actually had the miracle of Lourdes given to her. And what happens if there's other people who can perform miracles who don't do the right thing? Do these things disprove miracles, or prove that there's a problem with miracles, or some might even say show that miracles cannot happen in themselves? Well, the question is, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think?